Hey guys, my name is Chris if you didn't already know, and welcome to my show SmegChris Review. Not review, review. And yes, I know it's been a while, but I'm back with it. So what I do on this show is that I look back at an episode of SmegChris Review to see what film I reviewed and whatever else I said on there, you know, whether it be a trailer that I talked about or some news. But before I started doing it on SmegChris Review, I used to do it on SmegChris. So first off, I'm going to look back at an episode of that to see what I said there. And I'm going to watch it on my TV through the power of DVD. The episode I'm going to be looking at is called Accidental Zero, and honestly I have no idea what I talked about on there, so let's see what I said.
A new Red Dwarf series has just been announced, which is good news for us Smeg lovers. It seems that the 3-part Back to Earth that came out about 2 years ago seemed popular enough for its return. The thing is, I could swear that a few months ago I read in a magazine somewhere that there's 2 series in the pipeline. That's the problem with magazines. Sometimes you never know when they're making things up, such as when they tell us Twilight films are good.
Yeah, anyway, not talking about Twilight, but Red Dwarf. Funnily enough, that magazine was actually correct. They did do 2 series back to back. In fact, have I got them on DVD? Let me just go and look. There we go, we've got series 10 and 11, and funnily enough they've done a 12, and I have yet to get it, but they did a 3-part special called The Promised Land, I believe. I absolutely love Red Dwarf, hence the title SmegChris. For those of you who don't know. Anyway, but surely I talked about a film. Let's find out.
I went to see The Mechanic. It's a pretty decent film. It's nothing special and not the usual Jason Statham actioner like the Transporter or Crank films. The story centres on a hitman who, after killing his former mentor through a contract, decides to take it upon himself to train the dead man's son who is seeking vengeance. Not much in the way of action, but there's plenty of blood. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, just those who prefer to watch people hurt other people.
Okay, so I talked about The Mechanic. I do not have it in my collection because, to be honest, I've never watched it again. I love Jason Statham's movies, most of them, but The Mechanic is one of those that I've never really gone back to. And I've never actually watched the sequel either. Just not interested in it. Although I didn't give it a rating or anything. If I did, these days, I'd probably say 3 out of 10. But that's because I can barely remember what it's about. Did I say anything else on this episode?
The new Thundercats reboot is coming soon. This picture has just been released. Panthro looks like a giant. Lino looks like an emo. And Chitara looks like a teenage girl. I was a massive fan of the original series, so I don't know what to think about this.
I have never seen that new version of Thundercats. I don't even know what happened to it. Was it successful? Was it not? I don't know. All I know is I've still got the original series down here in my collection somewhere. Yeah, right at the bottom. Anyway, enough about this episode. Let's move on to SmegChris Review, which means I've got to change the DVD. Hold on. Now I know what film I reviewed in this episode, but let's see what else I talked about first. It's been announced that a 5th Die Hard film is to be made. This time it's called A Good Day to Die Hard, or here in Britain it might be called 5 Hard, or some other stupid title that they come up with. Don't get me wrong, I love Die Hard movies and they've all been great so far. But this renewed trend for sequels has got to stop soon. Pirates of the Caribbean are planning 2 more films, as are Paramount with the Transformers films. And as much as I thought Fast 5 was the best of the Fast and Furious series, they're planning another 2. Okay, so as for Die Hard 5, just a moment. I have all 5 movies on Blu-ray, as you can see. And the 5th one wasn't that great, was it? Unfortunately. But I still love the series as a whole. As for Pirates of the Caribbean, the last 2 movies were not that great. And currently they are planning another one. But it's up in the air whether or not Johnny Depp's going to be involved. If he isn't, it'll just flop big time. I can see it now. As for the Transformers movies, I still enjoy them. They're not as good as, well, the first one. But yeah, I recently watched the latest one. It was a prequel. It was alright. And as for the Fast and Furious franchise, I've still not watched Fast X as yet, but all the others I've watched, I kind of enjoy them. I don't know why. They're just, you know, one of those films where you turn your brain off, sit down and just watch and enjoy. But yeah, me talking about the trend of sequels, it's still happening. And to be honest, they've not really been that bad. Mostly. Right, let's see what else I was talking about. The official trailer for Marvel's The Avengers is finally here. Click this link right here so you can go watch it yourselves. As we all know, the Avengers movie was absolutely fantastic. And of course I've got it in my collection down here. And I'll go on record to say that I still think it's the best Avengers movie that they've ever done. Bar none. Anyway, let's go on to the film review of Friends with Benefits. The film I went to see is a chick flick, but a funny chick flick. It's called Friends with Benefits. The producers knew this would be predictable, so they decided not to cower away from that fact. Instead, they play on it, and with that burden relieved, they were free to go all out with the humour. Which they do. The two lead characters are charming, hilarious, and are a delight to watch. In fact, even the side characters are worth the film itself, especially Jenna Elfman. I give this film a... and I recommend taking your girlfriend if you've had a falling out. Just so you know, I actually have the film. There we go. And the thing is, I've watched it in the past year, if I remember right. I don't know why I called it a chick flick though, because these days I wouldn't consider it that. But what I do consider it as a very funny comedy. So when I gave it the rating of 7 out of 10, I still agree with that. And the DVD came with some deleted scenes, a commentary, and some very, very funny outtakes. Still a good film. And there you go, that's it for this episode. I promise it won't be another 3 years before I do the next one. I know, 3 years, jeepers. I am trying to get back into making videos, hence this video. Well, all that's left for me to say now is thank you for watching and subscribing if you have, and liking this video if you did. Until the next time, peace out. Remember when I used to do outtakes on every single video at the end? Ugh. I mean, I love a gag reel. I'm sure a lot of people do. But when you're doing it every single video, it kind of got a bit boring. That's why nowadays I just do blooper reels once a year. Well, I say once a year. I think I've missed a year. 2022, I think. But that's due to lack of making videos. So far I've already got 2 clips from this year. So that'll be on the next one, which will be next year, hopefully. As long as I keep up with filming. We know how good I am at that. Let's just hope, fingers crossed, I'm improving. In fact, let's do it with both. There we go. I couldn't do it then. And now, how do I get them back off? There we go. Done it. Oh dear.